Yeah. So yeah. Y'all ready?
Yep.
Okay, 10:39. I'm trying to keep this. So this one should be straightforward. This is number 8. This is not information podcast. Took a couple weeks off and now we back in it. The topic for today is about broke people. But do if you haven't seen This Is Not Information, you need to go back and see the other episodes. All right, before we do all this. So we got Bernadette, we got Vega, Kristen, and Maurice. And my name is Paul. So I think we should just get into the conversation. Unless y'all want to do some check-ins. How y'all feel?
Good.
Kristen, oh, she said Maurice. Yeah, feeling good. I'm feeling good too. I'm happy to see y'all.
I'm all right.
Been like a
I'm
crazy.
vibing.
Our chat keep it moving though. Our chat stays popping, so that is like a good thing. All right. So this is the question, and we can just jump in. So the question was: do broke people date broke people? And I know Mega wants to talk. So I know he's gonna say something about. Well, what is broke? Can we maybe we can define that? What is broke? Anybody? What is
I'm
broke
broke.
to you?
I mean,
If you better check the check, you broke.
I think even if you don't live check to check, you broke.
If you got mad debt, I would say you broke.
I was just about to say, like, if all the things that you have to pay for exceeds like your ability to like have like luxury or like your own like non-essential necessities, then you broke. Like if you have enough money but all of that money is going towards other expenses, bills, all that stuff.
So we gonna keep this. We not gonna get like too far. We gonna keep it economic, or we gonna say just broke.
Oh, like a broke mindset.
Mm.
I don't know, man. I mean, almost universally amongst most American demographics, which is where I'll keep this conversation because I imagine it emerges a lot in Western countries. But just keeping it to like American demographics, universally male, female, all the different age groups, something like 10% of people are living below the poverty line. There's an incredibly unequal distribution of wealth amongst millennials. We've got some ridiculous number like in the single digits of all the wealth in the United States is what the millennials possess. And when people are like one hospital bill away from bankruptcy or a virus away from not being able to make a car payment or massive debt and not being able to make their house payments, it's crazy. It's like most. I read a statistic the other day that was saying something like uh, the average amount of savings for a single person under 34 is less than $1,500. I mean, on top of that, like 52% of young people, millennials, live with their parents or some ridiculous stat. So like, do broke people date broke people? I mean, yeah, I've been broke most of my life. Even when I had money, I was so broke. I've been dating, so I was suspecting that you guys would clarify what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I want to
Broke
say. I
people.
mean, like as far as like money.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, the original question was like, do black women date broke men? Is that the first
Yeah.
question?
So let me give you a little bit of like information. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I was in the conversation, but I was witnessing a conversation with a variety of different people. I believe 4 black women to 2 black men, or 3 black men if you include the moderator. And they had this conversation about, do black women date broke men, or just men in general, or whatever, or do black women date broke men? And overall, the whole conversation, it started out with a resounding no. They were all saying all black women won't. Yeah, I had the same reaction, Mega. They were saying that black women don't date broke men because they have high expectations. They have these expectations that a black man can't fulfill, and so because of that, they try not to date a broke Black men, and if they do, they kind of put him through these like emotional, financial downturns or upsetness or whatever, just overall just not being a good candidate. And so the conversation turned into insulting Black women. Even the Black women who were on the panel was insulting Black women because of gender norms. There was one who was a marriage counselor who was like, I've been married for 30 years. And so because of that, she's like, Black women don't know how to be women. So that's also another reason as to why they won't date broke men, because broke men will put them in their place, but also broke men are not men, they're boys. So there was a lot of variation of conversations that was in that. And I wanted us to have a conversation because I feel like we will be much more civil, and we'll be smart about the way that we're going about this conversation, as well as being a little bit more holistic than that conversation was. But that conversation was just appalling to me because it was mostly men of Mega and Paul, or mostly individuals of Mega and Paul and Maurice's age. So they were a lot older than Kristen and I. So they're coming from an experience that, they had like 30, 40 years of that we, like me starting out, probably don't have. But even then, I just disagree with their mentality and the way that we're going about it. And the Black men who were on the panel were around the age of Kristen and I, and they had no variation. They were like, no, hands down, Black women don't date broke men. And I was like, I don't agree with that. I don't mean to attack you, Mega. You young for 37.
I know what you're trying to say. I'm just joking, but yeah, I ain't been married for 30 years either. Damn it, I'm 37.
Yeah, I mean, I've been married for 20, so
Hey.
you definitely talk about me. But I don't know, man, my mother definitely dated some broke men. So
Let's not even entertain that bullshit. Of course, broke women date broke men. Of course, that's some real bougie classist bullshit.
yeah, even when
People talking about
I'm trying to think,
what kind of bougie bullshit is that?
like,
I understand not wanting to date under your economic class for a variety of reasons, but do broke people date broke people? Hell yeah.
shoot, not broke. I mean, if you like somebody, if you dating, I'm thinking like dating, like you just hanging out, you go to a club, you don't know if somebody broke, or I mean, maybe online it's different because you can.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think the majority of people within their class, like, usually date people within their class. So just because you guys have more in common, and like,
I hear Dr. Sebi in the background.
Maurice.
I muted him. He doing something. We don't know what he's doing.
Okay.
But anyway.
I was just like, Maurice. But I was just gonna say, like, it's just usually more commonplace for people to date within their own class because of the relatability aspect. And like, I'm not saying that Black women don't date like higher class men, but it's just the norm for people within their own class to date within their own class. Of course, there's variation, but that's just kind of like.
Let me ask a question though. How do you? I mean, is it because you're in your friend group, or when you talk to someone, can you pull out the brokenness? You know what I'm saying? Can you be like, or pull out the classness? I don't know if the brokenness. Let me class, because it's really about class, right?
Right. I feel like there's slight nuances that you can pick up on. Not to say that they're broke, but you can tell, like, maybe this person might make X amount of money. For example, like, I actually used to date a dude who worked at Foot Locker, and I could tell he was broke because literally I'd be like, hey, do you want to go to what's that restaurant called? It's some Italian restaurant. Like, it's not that.
Olive Garden?
Not
Olive Garden.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you.
I was like, don't do that to me. It was like something like Bucciarati or something, or Bertoli's. It was Bertoli's. And he's like, can we wait till my check comes? And I was like, oh, like, do you want to just get an appetizer? And he's like, like, how cheap is the cheapest appetizer? And then I was like, okay.
You hit him with the appetizer. You shady. She was like, you want to get appetizer? Like, we just going for the appetizer.
I cared about him.
She was fishing. She was like, let me see how baroque this.
I was trying to be nice, but stuff like that, you can kind of figure out just based on these questions and whatnot. So yeah, just things of that nature.
I just wonder, because I'm cheap. Right?
I was just about to say.
I'm hella cheap.
People, yeah.
But I would never
Okay.
say like I gotta wait till my check. I think that is like maybe a sign.
Yeah, because I would like the thing was we wouldn't go every weekend. Like this would be like a once a month date type of thing. So it's like if you're waiting like a month and you can't even afford an appetizer, like I'm thinking maybe your money is going to other necessities in your life that you need to save for and not out to like a dinner date. So I was just like,
So
okay,
you weren't paying for him. You weren't paying.
I had to save money too.
See. I'm trying to find somebody who's trying to pay. That's me right there. I'm like, what's up, girl? You gonna go 75-25? Can we get that?
I'm dying. I
I hit
cannot.
you with that payment plan. You know what I'm saying? I'll put 10 in.
You're stupid.
Don't make that face, Bernie. Don't act like, hey, I don't really, hey. That's just I'm from that school. I wasn't paying. I wasn't trying to pay.
Listen, you married, so it's all right. Do your thing.
Yeah, I'm paying for it. Yeah, I'm not paying. We paying together. You know what I'm saying? Blood, sweat, and tears over here. But before, yeah, I would go to the club. I was trying to get somebody to buy my drink. I was that dude. For real. Game. What? I got game. I was like, hey, kid, what's up? You know?
Would they buy them for you?
Just the smiles and the smooth. You want to dance? Right.
That's supposed to be 90s.
I'm thirsty. What's up?
Breaking gender norms at the tender age.
That's
of
right.
25.
Hey, look. See, because some people think that's I'm from the Midwest too, so it ain't nothing for a woman to buy a drink. It's not. I mean, it's just like I think it's different. I think it's different in like Cleveland and stuff like that. I mean, most dudes, I think Maurice is talking about this in the chat about patriarchy, like the man gotta pay, man, this and that. But I'm like, yo, man, I'm all for women's rights. Hook me up. Sugar free. No. Why? Oh, so y'all not buying me in drinks? No.
You have a wife to do that now, right?
Yeah, I was just about
I'm
to
just,
say.
if you single, you not gonna buy a man that you like a man. He looking good, got his little outfit on at the spot.
I'm weak. I
So,
think okay.
You don't run
For
up to like,
me-
hey, what you drinking?
So just me personally, if I was on a date with somebody, my first thing is I would ask to split the bill. That's my first thing. I don't care if they're like yes or no, like it doesn't really matter. But it's
First
not,
date
like,
though. First date, right?
it's a first date. If we're in a club or whatever, I'll probably be too shy or scared to talk to you, even if I'm feeling you. So I probably wouldn't offer to do it. And if you came to me and was like, yo, can you buy the drink? I'll probably would, depending on other factors.
See?
First of
But
all, what dude though comes up to you and be like,
that's
hey,
what I'm saying.
you want to buy me a drink? Like,
That's what it's like. It depends on the factors. Like if it's like, you outside and you thirsty, it's like, okay, I could buy
Nigga
you
doing
water.
this because he done got lots of drinks bought for him. That's why he over there like.
I was a bartender too, though. So I mean,
See, he know. Yeah, girls buy drink. Hey man, girls buy drinks. Closed mouth don't get fed.
I've seen it all. I've seen it all.
I'm not saying they can't, but it's even kind of weird for like a girl to be like, can you buy me a drink? I usually just kind of wait and I'm like, they'll ask me, can I? But that's just a
You
person.
give it off the vibes though. You give it off the vibes. You like.
I think that
Yeah.
might depend on the cultural norms in the neighborhoods that you at. Because when I was in California, I never had any type of woman come up to me and ask me to buy her a drink. But when I was in Texas, it was pretty common, and not just to me, but to people around me. So
Yeah, it's like
why don't you buy me a drink was just normal in that part of Texas that I was in.
even if you want to talk to me, you gotta buy. That's so some places, yeah. If you want to talk to them, you gotta buy your drink just to get
Yeah,
the
no.
conversation.
I just, we talk and then I hint at, let's drink.
You hit,
Like,
but
yo,
see,
like-
okay, but see, then what's wrong with me hitting that? I want a drink too.
If you come up to me, not saying, hey, how you doing? Or I like your hair, nothing, just be like, yo, you want to buy me a drink?
No,
ain't
you
vibing.
don't do that. That's ridiculous.
That's
That is weird. No, Paul is just saying like if he's giving the vibes, like
I'm giving the vibes. You know what I'm saying?
some
I'm
like
talking to you. I'm complimenting you. We hanging out.
Buying drinks, though, that's a whole completely different dynamic of dating somebody who who has or doesn't have any money, or is considered broke by whatever metric you have. Like what Kristen was talking about earlier, how folks that she was dating was working at Foot Locker, and she, you know, she wanted to go to a place and he can go to a place. Now, Kristen, I don't know what type of economic standing you have, but you guys are likely in the same class. What it is just you have a varying degree of freedom with the type of money that you guys have. You know what I mean? Like you just have more disposable income than him. But you know, really, like there's a difference between somebody who owns their car, has their car paid off, has their house paid off, and is living debt free, versus a person who, you know, is making car payments, paying rent, and making college payments. Like there's that could be the exact same class of people, but what it is a financial security. So I mean, I guess the
How do you
distinction
define
is like,
that?
what's that?
So, like, I'm saying, like, how do we define middle class? Or
I don't think I mean, middle class
Middle
is
class is
defined
made
for us,
up,
right?
dude. Yeah, it's made up. That
I
shit is
know it's made up,
arbitrary,
but
man.
for the purpose of the conversation, come on.
For the purpose of conversation, you have people that, if you want to define, I would equate middle class to petite bourgeoisie. You have people that have enough disposable income to take 2, maybe 3, even more trips during a calendar year. They don't have any super heavy outstanding debt that will interfere with their daily activities. They don't have like looming like foreclosures or looming like medical emergencies that could bankrupt them and their family and their, you know, immediate like circle of acquaintances. You also have people that if you are firmly in the middle class, you have enough money to actually put a down payment on a house. You have enough money to actually purchase a vehicle or some type of big ticket item, which
Likely own property. You
yeah.
may rent property, you know.
And that could be, you know,
Rent out
property that's, you know, handed down, you know, 2, 3, 4 generations, you know. Because when, you know, a lot of people talk about like, okay, like when we talk about net worth and all that stuff, like a lot of these people that are upper middle class, they're counting like that home that great granddaddy had, you know, 100 years ago, you know, or that piece of land that was taken or stolen from other people, you know. So, and people that look like us, I would venture, I would just go ahead and say, I'm not like an economist by any measure, but yeah, most black folk, most brown, black, native folk are not middle class. Actually, we working class, man.
I mean, there's various distinctions between all the terms that we just laid out. I mean, like the ability to even get a college education. Like there's a big difference between us and people who are below the poverty line, but there's not that big of a difference between us and those below the poverty line. So I mean, when it comes to dating, I feel as though like this is the people that we're talking on that podcast, they very well may be actual, you know, upper middle class. They could be the petite bourgeois. They could be the professional managerial class of people. But really, like I think that type of thinking is just it's some real weird bougie shit, to use bougie as a slang word. It's thinking that it's being a certain class and projecting yourself into a higher class while not actually participating in that class. And I think that that's a mentality that a lot of people have, regardless of exactly how broke they are. You have dudes who are don't own any property, don't own their car, paying rent, but they got Jordans on, they got a Gucci belt, they got a gold chain, and they project a higher class. It's very bougie. And in my whole entire life, I ain't never been bad and bougie, and I don't rock with that. And so whenever a conversation like whatever you watched, Bernadette, was like, to me, it's like, oh, that's dope. Y'all got hella money and shit, and then y'all have the privilege to talk about that type of stuff. But I don't see myself all that different than the person who's living under the bridge, to be honest with you, because all it takes is apparently all it takes is one a coronavirus to completely change things. I said it before, like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of eviction notices were filed. And these are people who work in their 40-hour jobs. They might be paying mortgage on their house. We saw the housing bubble crisis just a decade ago. Like people who own their houses, the houses completely lost value. And that drops them from this presumed middle class that they are, all the way back down to the same cast as riding a bus. So I mean, I don't know, man. That shit is hella too bougie for me. And I couldn't, to be honest with you, Brandon, I couldn't even sit through a conversation listening to somebody talk about that shit.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't know how I sit through it. I remember I was like typing in the chat to you all, and I was like, y'all need to come here. Like, what is going on? And I know Maurice jumped in a little bit. I think Paul, you did a little bit as well, but didn't stay the whole time. I stayed from whenever I didn't come when it first began, but somewhere I was still in the middle and then all the way to the end. I needed to like listen to all their arguments just to like hear it. But I think also going in line with Maurice had brought up in the chat about patriarchy, because a lot of it, when they were talking about broke men or Black women versus Black men, a lot of it was in line with patriarchy as well as like gender norms, which oftentimes go hand in hand. And so a lot of them were like, I remember one of them, a lawyer, she was like how she's a strong alpha male or alpha female. And a lot of broke men don't like that because it makes them feel less than a man. And so I know we're talking about the economics side of it, but the other side of it is like these perceived gender norms, perceived performativity, and how broke men, for example, don't want to be with somebody who is perceived to be having the higher income because that will make them feel less than a man. Or like there are Black women who would take on this persona of, you know, you don't pay no bills, you don't do anything, so I'm the one who had the pants on in this relationship, and how that emasculates the man. So there's, you said what?
The pants. No, you said the pants.
Oh yeah, that was like that was an interesting conversation, because that's where it started to turn into them essentially insulting Black women. But in that line of like Black women who make more, perceived to make more than Black men, or perceived to have more disposable income, are seen to be the ones who are too independent, too loud, too strong, too opinionated, for broke men, because broke men, they feel like the only thing that they will have to bring to the table is their genitalia, because they can't bring their money. I didn't want to say the actual word on camera, but it was, they felt like the only thing that they could do, the only thing that they could bring to the table, is penis. The only thing a woman who is assigned at birth can bring. If that makes sense. I don't want to say this.
I don't understand. If your girl is a lawyer, right? I'm good. I'm there. I'm like a painter or something. You know what I'm saying? I'm opening up business. I'm doing something. I don't I don't get that part.
I'm progressive in that regard. I'll be a stay-at-home dad right now.
Oh yeah,
I'll wear heels in the house to do it.
That's just a really weak mentality to me. You know what I mean? Like, I understand you want to be into these boxes, and I mean, even when I got married, I was like, yeah, that's my wife, and this. And my girl was like, you gotta hold off on that. You know what I'm saying? This ain't what that is. You know, you can't just be claiming me. We in a partnership, you know. But I do think that that's where maybe when you think about economics or you think about stability and family, like those things, maybe more on upbringing though. Like that's where I feel like that's more important. Like people understanding, like it's not necessarily, you know, when y'all get together, it's about collective. It's our money. You feel me? It's our money. We doing it together. I'm gonna bring my $10. You bring your 100. We got 110. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I get that's exactly where I understand why people make decisions on who they date, just regarding how much money that person has. Like, you know,
yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's like it's already difficult enough to live and to make money and to survive in this world, that you don't want to have a partner that you got to carry, or you don't want to have a partner who you feel is not bringing the same amount of effort and energy into the relationship, whether that effort and energy is emotional or financial. You know, I get it. I completely get it. But it starts to get skewed. It starts to get skewed when you really try to define it by class lines or by gender norms and a whole variety of other factors. And a lot of times that's some real bullshit. I don't know. I managed to make, I've dated all types of chicks. Like the girl that I was dating before I moved to Japan was a Korean girl who was like first generation here. Her family worked hard. They own businesses. They gave her everything that she they gave her everything that she wanted, and because of her relationship, she had more money. I never knew somebody that had disposable income like that. She had two. She had an Escalade and a Lexus, and here I was in a Dodge Stratus. You know what I mean? Drinking 40 ounces, and it was just like that relationship was kind of doomed because of the
With
separation
Wi-Fi.
between our finances and shit. But it was more
Yeah.
than the amount of money I had. It was
Wi-Fi
her idea
network.
of the relationship with money and her idea of relationship. So
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would say, but yeah, when you go to college, like I went to college, I was like one of the first people to go to college in my family, and you meet people, or even like I said in high school, I was around people. Their parents own their houses. They both college educated. You know, black people, white people. All kind of people. But like you get to see, and there's a difference. People going to the cotillions and Boys and Girls Club. They're definitely grandparents, have money, and they move differently. And I mean, but I don't know. Once you get older, it don't. I don't know. I'm feeling like it matters, but it doesn't matter. I think, if you got money and you want to date somebody because you like them, then y'all got to come to some kind of agreement, and say we in it together. I mean, I don't know. I never looked at like I'm trying to date a rich girl or I'm trying to date a broke girl. I'm just trying to date a girl I like.
You have a heart of gold.
Yes. I mean, are we really looking at? I mean, I guess it's different though. Like,
I think I really like that idea because, that's super pure of you to say. And I wish most people thought like that.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people have a hard time compromising their lifestyle with another person's though. For example, if I were to date somebody who was like working class, like just this is like a hypothetical like situation, but let's say I made like, I don't know, 20 grand more than him per year. And like, he only brought like 10 grand a year. That basically means I'd have to be paying for most of our stuff, including like the house, most of the utilities. And I'd probably be paying a majority of the car notes and probably be paying for more of our kids. And you know what, if I really like this person and I don't mind like paying that much, then that's totally fine. I think that though is the problem that a lot of people encounter. Like I know a lot of people that would be okay with that because actually my mom was the person who made more than my dad in the relationship. But she never held a grudge over my dad against this because he still did like other things. Like he was like a handyman. So he did like a lot of the construction work for our house and things of that nature. So he provided in other ways. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is that not a lot of people are willing to compromise in that way. Like, but I get what you're saying, but like this is just
You gotta
speaking.
pull your weight. You know what I'm saying? I got vacuum. I'm finished with this. I got wash
Right.
dishes. I got water the plants. I
Exactly.
gotta do something.
And that's the issue that I'm also seeing. Like, okay, I ain't 30, 40. I don't have kids. I'm
You
not
just
married.
trying to say we old? You trying to say that? You trying to say we old? No.
Yes.
I'm the youngest one in the group. There's nothing I can do about that. But the thing that I noticed is like a lot of individuals, because I don't want to say only men, but a lot of individuals, like kind of similar to what Kristen is saying, like they don't want to pull their weight. And part of like them not wanting to pull their weight is because they still fixate on these gender norms. Because I'm thinking of like something called like the double shift. I know that this is a sociological term, but the double shift is basically where like working women who have a job, but they're still expected to take care of the household, all the things that are encapsulate within that household, whether the kids, the laundry, or just maintaining the household, as well as the children, and the food, all that stuff, everything they got to do. And so even if both partners are working, there's still this gender norm that is pervasive in the family that a lot of people are not coming to that partnership. And I think that's probably, I don't want to, project what your wife was saying, Paul, but like I think part of maybe the aspect of wanting to be called a partnership as opposed to being like I'm your wife, you're my husband, is like there are certain expectations that are conjuring up with these sort of terms. I don't know, but like that's something that I'm noticing, at least in like the communities that I'm around, where it's like, you're my girl and I want you to work, but I also want you to do all these other things, as well as the emotional labor that goes into it. A lot of Black men that I notice, there are some Black women too, but a lot of Black men that I've encountered, I know like being laid back is great. Like, you know, I don't care, nothing, da da da. But being affectionate is seen as a woman thing. I don't know if it was in your group that I showed it to you or somebody else's group, but there was a whole feed of things that Black men were saying that if they do, they're considered gay. Not just a simp, but gay. So if they smile, they gay. If they hug their woman, they're gay. If they say their trauma, they're gay. If they look up and down, they're gay. And obviously I know it's like being stupid, but there is a lot of things that a lot of okay, I don't want to say Black men because it's not only Black men, because I noticed that Black women also have these sort of expectations of Black men that also makes it hard for them to be people. So it's a two-way street. But overall in the Black community, there are certain expectations, gender norms, anti-homophobia rhetoric that it hinders the prosperity of being a partnership. And I think that even though I know, you know, y'all are 30, 40, 50 years old, but like,
Ain't nobody 50 over here.
Push it.
Sorry.
Push it. I'm gonna get there. Sean Connery. I'm getting my Sean Connery. Give me a boat.
But like, I know that y'all are older than me and have like a lot more experience, and maybe in your pool of people, you were able to find like things are shifting. But from my point of view, it doesn't, even the ones who are 30, 40, the ones that have like crazy enough are talking to me, I ain't talking to them, but like they have the same mentality as those that I'm seeing in my age. Yeah, I'm on OK Cupid, and the amount of like 30, 40 years old who are like, yo, hey ma, and I'm like,
I think
no.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the comment that you mentioned while you were just talking, that it's not just Black men, it's not just Black women, and it's not just all men, and it's not just all women. It's the entire spectrum of relationships and the way that they're structured in this day and age. And people can point to a variety of reasons as to why certain problems are being more exacerbated, why certain problems are, you know, certain things are kind of diminishing, and yeah, I mean, when it comes to just the strictly idea of brokenness, right? uh you could point to, you know, a variety of factors, and I found myself like it I think it's just a symptom of this late stage capitalist society. I really do think it's just a symptom of the times that we're living in. I don't know. Like I feel things are weird anytime that I step outside of. Anytime I step into a different group, it's fucking weird. Living in Japan, one of the weirdest things for me, and I'm sure dating would be kind of strange too. The weirdest thing for me is like not just the Japanese, like all the brothers and sisters I meet out here, all the Black people I meet out here, all of them, virtually all of them, I say about 95% of them are college educated. I've never been around a Black community like that in my entire life, where I'm in a group of Black folks and all of them got college degrees. Even when I was going to college, it was like, oh, word. I mean, we didn't have degrees, and most of us wouldn't. I went to, you know, community college and shit. And I can imagine that dating out here, even if I was, would come with the same type of issues that were based upon like, oh, you don't got a college education. You know what I mean? Like there's just everything is a factor. Everything is a factor when it comes to our relationships and the ways that our relationships are structured. Even stupid shit like, you know, I heard a John Waters quote a long time ago when I was younger, and it was something that I always try to use as a standard, mostly bullshit, but just funny. He said, if you go to a person's house and they don't have books, don't fuck them. And I was like, word, because, you know, I don't know what to call that, but yeah, if you ain't reading books, I probably ain't fucking with you like that. That's not a relationship that I would probably want to have. And it's the same type of distinctions that people are making when they decide to date somebody, whether they have money or not, or whether they darker or what. It's just difficult fucking dating. And people who People who talk about money like that, I understand exactly why they do that. But people who are bougie and not really a part of a higher class and try to front like they are, and they treat people who are in the same class as kind of shitty or low, I mean, fuck y'all too, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry,
don't know.
I kind of got off track there, but word.
That's yeah, because in Japan, man, everybody. I mean, it's like it's another level.
I know. I'm the only one I know that don't got a college degree.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the group, and that's when Bernie come. I mean, Kristen is probably speaking more to this. I because I've never dated in Japan, but I just know the people I deal with. Man, they're on another. I was like, man, this group. If you take group, probably the economic situation is on a whole nother level. So it must be difficult, more difficult probably to date in Japan with the core of Black people or even foreign population. Because I feel like sometimes I feel like a stereotype. They be like, man, because I hear a lot of that. Like, I don't do that. I don't do that. I like anime. I like this. I'll be like, I like basketball. And I like, and Japanese people be surprised. They be like, oh, you're not out here for the anime. I was like, nah. I mean, I'm not here for. I mean, it's cool now. I like it. You know, what I'm saying I'm learning. You know, but that wasn't my. They're like, oh, you don't like Japan. You know, because people really come out here and they be about Japan and they went to school. Like I was reading this story about a girl, Black creator Japan. I mean, she's like her life is like a movie. She went to like Belgium and went to all these places, and then she came to Japan. Her dream was to come to Japan since she was 12. She learned Photoshop when she was like 14. I'm like, you like George Washington Carver, you in Japan. I'm like, damn. I was like, how can I compete with? I'm from the hood, you know what I'm saying? Crack era, you know what I mean? First in my family. And I mean, I am college educated, but it wasn't like given, you know? So I feel mega on that. And I think that people, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know. My girlfriend before I got married was Black. And yeah, I mean, she was from Boston. So her family definitely, mother college educated, father college educated. But we was in college. I mean, I was getting my master's and she was, in undergrad. And it wasn't, I don't know, maybe that's where maybe that's where the education part kind of masked that. People are like, well, you getting educated, you doing something, I'm gonna deal with your broke ass. No.
To your point earlier, that you mentioned, Bernadette. I think I mentioned this book to you guys, a book that I read last year. Tried to bring it up here again, but you were talking about the kind of unpaid labor of women, and there's a really interesting book. It's not so much theory as it is just an ethnographic kind of study by this researcher and professor that was just talking to women, and she's also a socialist. And the book was called Why Women Have Better Sex Under Socialism. And it talks about a lot of the features that come with living in a society where you do have the unpaid labor of women and kind of the patriarchy that comes with that, and how it alters dating and relationships, and how women might have better sex under socialism. It's an interesting read if anybody listened to us wants to kind of delve more into that. Kristen Godsey, Why Women Have Better Sex Under Socialism.
Oh, I thought you were saying Kristen Go See, but I realized that's the person's
I think
name.
let me see. I pulled her name up so I can remember it, but it's GHODSEE. Godsey. Kristen, go see Women Having Better Sex Under Socialism.
I was like, were you talking about Kristen? What's going on?
Like, I feel singled out, bro.
I can't keep up with my wife though, man. Like I'm telling you, I try to do chores, I try to do things. She come home and she do everything. I be like, yo, I'm helping. She be like,
same.
And same. Yeah, she's like, you can't fold clothes, be like, or something like, I'm about to do this. And I try, but I think there is that too. Yeah,
At least you tried.
I try. I still try. I mean, I try, but I feel, and sometimes you can feel like, man, even when you've accepted that role, like, yo, I'm doing this. I'm trying to participate, and then it become almost like, especially if we were, I would say a strong one. My wife's very strong and competitive. She gonna outwork me. She not gonna let me outwork her. She like,
I'm telling you, dog,
you don't
men
know
is
what you're doing.
trash. Men is trash. Women are
Trash.
hard as hell. My wife is amazing. I don't know how she does it. You know, and I
Yes.
also, you know, I was raised like my mom stopped working when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and you know, was a housewife after that. And
You
you know,
mean
she did things
working
around
outside the house?
work.
Yeah.
I mean, I just learned how to do shit. Like I'm not a dude that expects the wife to wash dishes, cook and clean, and I don't know. I try to, you know, I'm cleaning up the house before my wife does in a lot of ways, and I think that that's important. We all the way off topic. I'm sorry, I contributed to that, but
We not though.
Maurice, what
Maurice,
you
where
got?
you
You
at?
quiet over there. What's going on?
Yeah, what was I about to say? Yeah, like I think having women who actually understand their their essentialness, like they are, you know, especially some. Okay, so like here in Japan, I think you know, with some of my students that I've dealt with in the past, like men, I should say, um, they take for granted how much unpaid labor is actually, you know, put into their partnership with their wives or their girlfriends or whoever. It's just automatically assumed that the woman is going to be doing most of the housework and most of the child rearing. But now, you know, you've seen a recent phenomenon like over the past like 10, 15 years, like more, you know, the IKU men, like the men that are actually taking off more time off of work to like take care of their kids or like actually socialize with their kids or to do some of the housework. It's becoming more of a phenomenon. It's still like very like, you know, relatively speaking, like very little like compared to some other societies. But for me, like you know, that, you know, what Paul was saying resonated with me. Like my wife is strong, you know, woman too. Like she has many faults just like we all do, but like without her, you know, being um how do you say, like she's a dynamo. I could say it like that. Like she gets home, like she can still find the energy to do a lot of shit that that I'm not gonna have the bandwidth to like to complete, you know. So I think a lot of people you know, especially here in Japan, like the men that I've seen, like especially like within the foreigner community, if they're not military, it's like, yeah, like your spouse or your partner is pretty extraordinary, man. Like hands down, like you got pretty lucky in terms of who you're picking. But then also like going back to the patriarchy and all that stuff, I think a lot of people, you know, a lot of theorists, a lot of philosophers, you know, when we start to talk about relations between Black men, and I'm you know, I'm a Black man, I'm cis het. Um, Whenever I hear people say, like, for example, men are trash, you know, and I kind of, you know, I get it because, like, for me, someone who's actually trying to push the conversation forward in terms of like liberation and revolutionary politics, you got a lot of people, men and women, or non-binary. You still got a lot of people that subscribe to the old beliefs of white supremacy, like self-hate, where because of the fact that you did not conform to what we got brainwashed into believing is the norm or the ideal of like, you know, man, woman, husband, wife, 2.1 kids, white picket fence and all that, then you're a failure in society, or that you're a renegade or a misfit. You got people like enacting that like subconsciously, that, you know, like that talk that Bernie was talking about. It's like, yeah, you got people that like just actively like partaking in like hating each other, you know, and they claim to be someone who loves Black people and loving the struggle towards freedom, but they're the ones that are holding and keeping people back, you know. So for me, I have to check myself a lot too, because, you know, like whenever we start to get talks like this, I you know, like that talk that Bernie was talking about, I'm like, yeah, like I had to tap out because I'm like, I love my people too much Whereas, when you can love someone, when I talk about collectively, like loving the diaspora, like where you resent them because it's like, yo, like I'm trying to help, but you're fucking it up. You're not really trying to help me to help you, or we're not coming to an understanding. We're on the same team, but you fighting against me. So a lot of times I gotta love you from afar. It kind of mirrors the relationship I have with a lot of people back in the States, including my family, up to and including my family. Where it's like, okay, you got people that are doing everything right. They're crossing all their T's, they're dotting their I's. They go to grad school, or they're starting a small business, but they talk shit about people that might have 4C hair or might not fit the conventional norms of like beauty standards, or they might be dark complected. They are the main ones that are gonna sit there and talk shit about you or like clown you, but they don't understand where that energy is coming from. It's almost reflexive. And those type of people, when you try to sit them down, they think, oh, well, you're violating, or you're trying to be confrontational, when it's like, no, I'm trying to show you love. I'm trying to show you like, this is how we get free. It's like, you gotta cast off those mental chains, like we can only do that. And when we get into those gender wars, you see it on social media all the time. Like, yeah, broke boy, you can't spend $200 on a date, or you can't drive out to Vallejo and see me. I can't get flued out and all that other bullshit. It's like, okay, well, what are the underlying factors behind that? Why are so many men not able to do the things that you see people bragging on social media and posting it and flossing and fronting on each other for? Why can't most people actually do that type of stuff? There's many things, many push and pull factors that are at play here. One, when we talk about capitalism, racial capitalism, colonialism, when we talk about the prison industrial complex, I mean, this applies especially for people that are outside of the center of empire. If we're talking from an American standpoint, motherfuckers that stay in Yokota, they stay in Camp Foster, they stay in Kadena, they stay in Sagamihara, they stay in all these places, and they say, yo, I'm trying to get, I'm gonna get my 20 years in the military, and then I'm gonna get my 30% disability and all that, and then I'm gonna live me a so-called middle-class life secure, but what are you doing to help the people around you, right? What are you doing to uplift the people around you? And then, for me, again, I can't say that I was not guilty of those types of behavioral practices and patterns in the past. And I'm trying, that's what we all can do, is just try. But you have many people that unknowingly carry out the mission of the people that are oppressing you. When it comes to capitalism, I preach, and whoever listens to me, like when we talk about like solidarity, when we talk about unifying and using people power to overturn these things that hurt us actively and passively, it's very difficult for people to take the first steps to do those things, because it requires them to sacrifice what they hold near and dear, and also actually they incorporate as their own like identity. For some people that are in the military for 20, 30 years, they're like, yo, I'm a devil dog. I'm this, I'm that, I'm an E, I'm super duper NCO, I'm a full bird colonel, and that's who I am. But that part of you is also hurting the people that you supposedly love, right? I'm a father, but I whoop my kids' ass and I beat them down so they know that I'm the man. It's like, but no, that you're supposed to be loving. You're supposed to be that refuge at home for the person that you claim to want to protect from all the evils and ills of the world. I want to uplift my man and support him and all that, but you the main one talking shit to your girlfriends about how he ain't shit. Like a lot of people, like, obviously, everybody, we're all contradictory in some way, but for I'm talking about Black folks now and brown folks, Native folks, like the first cut is the deepest, right? We got to get in there and do the dirty work when it comes to, like, saying, for example, broke boys, and broke girls, and all that, broke bees, and all that. Like what are the conditions that lead up to someone saying, you know what, I can't date this man, or I can't date this person or this woman because of the fact he does not, or she does not, or they do not fit a certain social economic profile? How did that happen? You know?
That's a perfect. I want to ask this: when y'all dating, does this come up? I mean, when I was dating, money like,
hell yeah.
is y'all checking? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I heard.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
There's
Bernie?
background noise from someone,
Yeah.
some Indian person's talking.
What's that?
No, it's my coworker.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I'm sorry. I might
It's a
mute
Japanese
myself
person.
now. Sumimasen.
So my question was, when you're dating, how does the economics come? Because I ain't dated in a long time. Okay? It's been like years, like decades, right? Back in the beeper age, you know what I'm saying? Two-way pagers and stuff. So does this come up? Like, when y'all, like, what date does this come up? Is this on the first date? Is this on the second date? Like, when do y'all get to that? Ain't y'all ain't there like a couple of days? Y'all like each other, y'all kicking it, y'all. We ain't talking about money yet, is we?
The money?
Yeah.
The money is the motive.
How do you get to the broke part? How do you get to identify, like when Kristen said, like, hey, we going out? Like, was that like the first month, second?
No, you qualify. Like, I hear women talk about all the time. You got to pre-qualify, dude. Right. And a lot of times, man, now we got social media and all that. They scoping you out, trying to figure out what you got, what you posting up.
Credit check or the Carfax? You got to do Carfax.
Yeah.
Look, there she is. She hiding. Why you hiding? Why you hiding?
Carfax.
Carfax?
For some people, that's the prime motivator just as much as looks. For some people, that's more important than looks.
For real?
Yeah.
Depends on a person.
Man, the first time I was hollering at a girl, she was like, yo, money make you cute. I was like, oh, that like stuck me deep. I was like, damn. It's like, you cute, but you ain't got no money. So you ain't that cute. But this dude over here, he cute because guess what? He has financial security.
That's why people dress like they got money. I mean, that's
There's that.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't see
rent a suit
driving a Datsun. I mean, come on.
Rent a suit.
Like, so okay, because
Right,
Bernie said she on OK Cupid, so I'm pointing this like in the millennial
Right.
age. How do y'all Carfax? How do y'all get the credit check on the? How you know they broke?
Well, I guess maybe I okay, because a lot of things are going through my head. So like for me, I just came out of college, so like money isn't like a big factor because we are both not in our careers yet. So it's kind of hard to be like, you broke when I'm broke too, because we just got out of college and we're also in a pandemic. So there is that, like, I have to think about my situation before I can like say like who and what I don't want. But on OK Cupid, I mean, you can ask, but like, so what I do on
people ask, people like, are you broke?
They won't say like, are you broke? They won't ask you if you're broke, but what they would ask you is like, how are you getting an income? Like, do you have a job? Like, what are you doing? So if you're like, oh, I'm a student, then it's like, okay, you probably are not working. Or if you're undergrad, you're probably not working. If you're graduate, you may be having a part-time job. If you're saying like, oh, like I have this kind of job, I work in IT or whatever, like you can kind of think about what kind of money that they will have and then compare to you or whatnot. Like, so you won't act like straight away, or at least from how I've had conversations with men.
Wait, they had income group. Megan saying they had income groups.
When I was,
I mean, they do.
When I was on OkCupid, you fill out the variety of questions and it matches you with people based upon your percentage. Now you can put a high priority on the amount of income that somebody puts. Now, obviously people can lie, but it is a way to kind of reduce if people are honest, like I wasn't putting, I made no $100,000 a year, I'm out of that person's grouping. You know what I mean? That reduced the percentage of our likelihood to match. So
yeah. And sometimes like depending on how much you put an emphasis on it, like it won't show up. So like for me, I'm like, I'm unemployed right now because of the pandemic, and I just got out of my undergraduate program, but like that's nowhere near on my profile versus like others who put it on their profile. So like you have the choice to do that. And if somebody really cares and they're like, I'm really trying to be with you, then they can axe ahead. But I think also too, another thing, because I was actually talking to my stepmom about it, aunt, somebody in my family, about how like there is a difference. No, I am a target, low key. Like that's why I have to be very careful because I'm getting the 30-year-olds and I'm kind of, yeah. But what was I gonna say? But yeah, but like there is like a difference in how some people are dating. Like if you start talking to them, you kind of start the dating phase. And for me, I don't see it that way. Like the only way that we can really date is if either we're sitting down, like either at a restaurant or we do an activity, like we physically go somewhere or do something, or we're virtually chatting. Like me texting you is not me dating, but a lot of people are kind of seeing it that way. But there's like that talking phase where it's like you talking and you vibe and you trying to see if you like it. To me, that kind of understanding happens for me in the dating period. So me vibing with you and me seeing if you are somebody I want to be with is when we date. But me talking to you, being like, hey, how was your day, is not me talking to you. I'm just talking to you how I would talk to Paul, Mega, Maurice, Kristen, my best friends. Like me saying how your day was and what you're doing tomorrow isn't me being like, oh, I'm trying to vibe and see if I like this person. But because it's like the pre-date kind of thing, I don't know, pre-relationship, pre-date nonsense. Like a lot of people try to put a lot of information in that moment to even determine whether or not there's somebody that they want to go on a date with, when I'm like, we should do that when we're sitting face to face. Because I could say a lot of shit through text, but seeing each other and like really feeling our vibes and energies is important to me. But a lot of people don't want to do that.
Kristen, are you how you doing the Carfax? How you doing it? Are you
Oh Lord. Like how am I gauging this person?
Yeah.
Getting their stats. Wait, first of all, I've heard of Carfax on commercials. It's like a car insurance thing? Or what is that? I know. I'm almost on the same level as Bernie when it comes to knowing these things.
Generational gap.
Please
Carfax.
tell me.
I used to sell cars. Like you used to pull the Carfax if you were gonna actually buy a used car to see if it was any accidents or it was a salvage title or something like that, just to see if it was actually something that you wanted to buy. So yeah, if you pull the Carfax, like, yo, this man right here, he got like 3 kids. He actually got a wife, or he been to jail a few times. He got a couple of liens, tax liens. He got some venereal disease.
Go out, eat some ice cream. Nothing. It's not. What your money is? How much money you got? You on mute, Megan? What's your money? How much money you got? I don't even care.
Until y'all find out about Dick Yelp.
What?
Dick Yelp.
Where do you get this? Mega is he like 2 people. He got this other person. He got the Yelp for the.
What do you mean, Dick Yelp? What does that mean, Mega?
Oh man, I mean,
that's a thing.
Go ahead, Mega. Speak your truth.
No, you can't mute. You can't mute on that, fam.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, you go to Dick Yelp and then you could give Dick's reviews. You find a gentleman, you go ahead and rate his penis. You know what I mean?
That's a thing.
Give a review. You went to the restaurant. How you feel about it?
This ain't on the internet.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, because like I know, obviously not in this name, but I know of these kind of things because I'll be like around people who've had numerous sexual encounters. So I know a lot of people who's good and bad, but like I didn't know it was like on a website. Like I didn't know like you can type in their name, like, yo, John is like a 7, but he terrible. Like I didn't know that was like something like that. But like I heard like dick reviews it's natural. Like you gotta know.
On the internet.
Yo,
I want to Google myself and find like from 1997. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, for real.
Sarah, like pussy.
What? The BD.
I've never been to Dick Yelp. I'm not out there rating. You know what I mean? I just know that there was a thing. I heard it all talking about it. You know what I mean?
All the information.
Yeah, I've never been there. I ain't never been to like the Republican Party website either. You know what I
When
mean?
research
I don't
goes
Google.
wrong.
I'm sitting here right here just like Maurice. Cis hat.
Wow.
But I mean, but back to the conversation about dating and brokenness. I'm not too critical about people who legitimately have concerns about that when they're dating seriously. If that's a criteria that you need to have in order to feel like you're going to have a productive relationship, I think it's about as corny as needing to date somebody with green eyes or having yellow fever or something like that. But I mean, do you? It's it's one of those things that just seems like a natural side effect of the type of society that we live in. And while I consider it nasty, I get why. I get why.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess when you get to the marriage, like that's what I'm thinking. Like, any phases to the dating?
Well, I think, because we're in the information age too, you have a lot of people that want to speed up the process because of the fact that now you see, I mean, I'm talking from an American standpoint. Out of all of us, think about it, the previous generation, how many of us actually have a parent partnership that lasted more than like 20 years, right? The divorce rate is like climbing. Like when my parents got divorced, I think it was like 53%, and I think it's like 56, something like that. So a lot of people like, and I listen to old heads and women saying the same thing, like, yo, you don't want to waste your time. It's too much. It's too much to invest, too much to lose if you don't vet out that person that you claim you want to spend the rest of your life with. So let's get the shit cracking. So that's why you got sites, because I remember, I'm 38. So I remember I used to look down on like websites like OkCupid and like, Christian Mingle or something like that, all the online stuff like MySpace or Friendster or whatever. But it's like, actually they're trying to, I mean, it's a perfect melding of like capitalism and like relationship and all the other stuff that comes with all the other BS that comes with it. And like, like let's cut out all the bullshit. Let's get to it because we don't have that much time. And then, we're in a Panasonic now. So if you mess around with the Panacea, you might mess around and get somebody that is going to waste your time for 5-10 years. And that's for and I can't speak, the women can probably speak for this, like that's prime time for like, childbearing, so like you got to choose wisely. So it's all, I get it. Because I when I lived in DC, it was women that straight up, they were like, okay, so what you do, they can do the calculations before they get drunk. Like, okay, he make this amount of money. He work on K Street. You work for which lobbying firm? You work for who? You got a car. They're trying to see your car keys. They want to know, can you provide that security? Can you provide the financial security, physical security? When people were telling, my older cousins and uncles and my father and stepfather, all like rule number one, if you're trying to spit game, you're trying to holler at anybody, when everybody figured out, okay, you trying to get at some girls, like they want to feel safe. First and foremost, you make a woman feel safe. That's part of spitting game. You spitting the verbal milk and honey. It's like, yo, she feels comfortable talking with you first and foremost. You don't give any like creeper, like red flags or something like that. Then you can keep it going, and then you can show her that you can come with me. You can come home with me and it's okay. We're not going to make a lamp out of your skin, And for most people, if you're not able to do those types of things, like demonstrate that you can provide security, you can provide safety, and yeah, you shit out of luck, So that's why you got guys that are flossing and like, yo, I got this. I got you, and 9 times out of 10, when I talk to dudes about this type of stuff, it's like, yeah, it's unfair. Like when you talk about like women, because I've had women provide for me, like, come up to me and give me a drink. They're trying to do something with me, like it happens because they, not to say that one mindset is better than the other, but if they realize what you're bringing to the table has to be reciprocated, Because my
Equality. We
mom
talk
taught
about
me.
that equity, Bernie.
Yeah,
Equity.
it's equity, you know. Because
Look
I
at
mean,
that. She's like,
if
no.
we're living, especially within the Black community, I can say this, you know, because I was in DC, you know, again, like with Mega, you were saying, like, yeah, you never been around people like if you're in a room. I've been in a room where I didn't have a college degree, but everybody else had like an advanced, like professional degree, and I was sitting there like, damn, like, you know, but those women that are in med school, they're in law school, they're going to Wharton, but they're just, you know, they're just hanging out in the town for, you know, a couple of weekends. So, they are willing to go that extra mile because they realize they realize the hard way that their dating pool, if they want a Black man, if they want a Black cishet man like me, they gotta make some concessions. Yeah, I'll buy you that drink. I'll buy you that Black Russian. Yes, of course. Let's talk. Yeah. Let me see if you can provide me that security or that peace of mind that I've been looking for that I can't find elsewhere. Because I think we all know, and I know because I'm married to someone that is not Black. Like, yeah, like that's a hurdle that is very hard to overcome if you have to explain yourself to someone over and over again. If you can find that person that's outside of the Black community, that's great. You know, and I think I have. But I know for many Black women, you know, the big limitation that I've heard and big complaint that I've heard, like just from friends and acquaintances, like, yeah, you know, I don't want to have to like struggle when I go home, you know, with someone that don't get why this person at work is doing something, race sliding me, gaslighting me, whatever, microaggression, all that. I want to be able to go home and feel secure in the refuge of someone that understands my plight as a Black woman, whether you be, you know, gay, straight, whatever, non-binary, whatever. So yeah.
Yeah.
What?
So Mega, you want to before because
yeah, you got to hop out.
Anyway, but you want to say something before you roll out? I know, I know you said it, but
No, I mean, I kind of, you know, I understand a lot of the things that Maurice is saying, and I could really build on some of those things and give a little bit detail from my perspective as well. But I think you know these type of conversations are ones that when we see them it seems odd to us, and I say us meaning like the Black community, because historically we haven't been in those positions where class is something we have to take into consideration is deeply, and especially when you look at some of the kind of dominant cultural tropes and things that we have within our communities, where there is an emphasized bouginess, and I mean in the slang sense of projecting that you are of a higher class without actually being participating in that higher class or having more money. I think that you know that produces certain effects, and one of the side effects is that you know women who are interested in securing their position in the social hierarchy, or moving up, or getting out of the poor economic conditions that they grew up with, they take that into consideration. So they date somebody that look like he got money, he don't have money, they get a little bit more savvy. And so you do come across those questions like, yo, the Cassius banking at Wells Fargo don't really have money like that. If you really want to get somebody got money, you got to find somebody that banks it. You know, it's easy to check his bank card. People are savvy, and this is, you know, people learn how to be more nefarious and date differently, and it just kind of it happens. But I think it's really pronounced in our community, and it gives us all a bad taste when we see it, because like so many of us don't have the ability to make those type of considerations in our dating pools. And especially, you know, the topic when it comes up, my first thought is like, that's disgusting. Like, who is entertaining that idea and these standards? But the sad reality is that most people are, and white people, like, it doesn't come across in the same way, but they definitely fucking are, and their parents are definitely looking to see whether or not the dudes that their daughters are dating have, you know what I mean, or come from a certain class or come from a certain thing. Like when old girl married into the British royal family, I mean, you know exactly what they were thinking about that type of shit. So I don't know, y'all. I am feeling a little bit bad today, but I'm glad that we finally got together to be able to record. Hopefully, we can get consistent on the schedule. and I'm gonna sign off for now, but I'll get with y'all later. Thank you.
Bye, Mega. Feel better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Rest up.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Any last comments on this? I mean, we kind of when I don't have any answers per se. I think it's an ongoing conversation. It is interesting though. I feel for y'all in the dating pool. That sounds like a headache.
It is. It is.
But
It is a
There's
headache.
there's just a lot of things to consider besides finances. I mean, if you guys don't even get each other on a moral standpoint, then that's out the window. Jesus Christ. Like, y'all could be making the same amount of money, be both college educated. But like, if your morals, like, and even like some political views you have don't match, then it's just,
I don't know. Dan.
okay.